This is my first YouTube video, so I don't really know what I'm doing. But today I'm gonna try and make a Celestia wig from Danganronpa. But I'm unorganized. I didn't make a plan until I just started. So we're just gonna skip to whenever I did that. I forgot to mention I'm making this out of paper. Oh, and here's me making the plan, but you can't even see it because I'm drawing in pencil and the pencil doesn't want to show up on the camera. But I do go over it in pen later. I probably should have used a reference to what her hair actually looks like, but I didn't, so I just, yeah, this is what it kind of looks like. That's how I remember it looking. And now I'm just going over it in pen so you can actually see what I was doing. But yeah, I don't know why I drew the face, because it's not even part of the actual wig, but whatever, it's fine. And here's me trying to explain how I'm gonna make the hair. I'm thinking of using like a plastic bottle and then like so I can screw the coils of her hair on and off, but yeah, I'm gonna attach it with string to make it move. I ended up with 2 different bottles, but they're gonna do the same thing, so I don't think it really mattered. But to start, I used a ruler to measure out the lengths of the paper I was gonna use, but I realized you can't even see the pen on the paper since it's the same color, so then I just folded the paper over with a ruler instead to like cut it out properly. I think 1 sheet of paper gave me 3 strips, and we're just gonna like slot them in with each other so they connect better. And I used tape for this because it's just easier than hot gluing it, because I wasn't sure what I was doing. And then I just connected them into a dome shape, and I measured that on my styling head. I had to make this styling head because the one I have is a different size to my actual head, so if I styled it on the normal one, it wouldn't fit on my head in like the final process, and then it would just be a waste of time because it wouldn't work. But to give it some structure, I'm just sellotaping down each weft over the top of the head, so it like gives it some structure, you know? And then I ended up with a helmet shape. It looks kind of weird right now, but it's gonna get worse because we're now attaching the plastic bottles. I had to cut like the top of them off because that's the part that we need, because it has like this screw-on lid part. But the second bottle was like much harder to cut. I think the plastic was slightly stronger because there were 2 different types of bottles, but they did the same job in the end, so it didn't really matter. Then to get the actual bottle to fit on the helmet wig so far, I had to like cut little slits along the edges of the bottles so I could like fold them over. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that right, but it kind of, oh yeah, come back. No, anyways, but I had to fold the edges of the springy parts the opposite direction so I could actually like stick it onto the wig, and then I did the same for the other bottle. Then bringing back in the helmet wig, firstly I taped the bottles onto there so I could get the positioning right, but then I used hot glue to glue down all the little wefts of the bottle, and I forgot that the hot glue was hot and it melted the plastic, but I think it worked okay in the end because it still managed to stick it down. I just had to turn down the heat and then it worked better. I did then trim down the edges of the plastic because some of it was sticking out and it was kind of a little bit sharp, and that was not good. But then I'm just checking the lid still screws on to the wig. I'm not sure why it wouldn't. I don't know why I need to check that, but I did. And then I'm just covering the bald spots because we don't want her to be bald. Now, we don't want that. But I also use hot glue for this part as well. So this is what I kind of ended up with. There's like a couple chunks of hot glue that were sticking out, but I'm probably gonna paint over those later. But I had to do her fringe off camera because it was kind of stressful and I didn't want to mess it up. But it was at this point that I decided to paint it because the hot glue pieces were annoying me, and also I hadn't done this before, so I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. But I did paint the edges of the fringe black, but you can't really see it because the paper is also black, but it kind of looks like an airbrush effect. I'm not sure. I did go over that with a layer of white paint to add like highlights. I think this really helped, but I was using the tripod to hold up the wig, so I couldn't record this part. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. Then I brought in some wire to make the coils and the bottle caps from earlier. I did poke a hole in the end of the bottle lids so I could like slot the wire in. It would make it more secure. And then I'm just bending the wire into like an oval shape. And then the strips I made earlier, I plan to like wrap it around the wire, kind of like slot it in so that it can be posable. I left a little bit of wire at the end so I could get the bottle lid through it and then like fold it over itself. But it was kind of really hard to bend the wire, but it was okay because I did it in the end. And then I had to go over that with a glob of hot glue because I didn't want it to break in the future. Like, that would not be good. We don't want that. But then I found this piece of hot glue that accidentally stuck on one of the wefts and I couldn't get it off, so I was just like, okay, we'll just put it at the back. But then I forgot to put it at the back and it ended up in the front, but it's too late to fix it now. I did want to test that the bottle cap would still screw on the wig with the hot glue in it, but it was fine. I did also add a piece of paper across the bottle cap because you could still kind of see it, but we're just gonna cover it with a bow. Just don't look at it from above, okay? This is what the wire looked like before I added the paper to it. Yes, so then I ended up with this, but it can also do that. Then to make the coils, I just did the same hoop sort of thing, and I plan to like attach it with string like how I did my plan. But I did that with hot glue and like paper, so I think you can kind of see the string, but it's not that noticeable. I might paint over it, but I'm not sure if that'll change the texture of it, and then it might not be movable anymore, so... But then I just repeated that for all the rings, like gradually making them smaller. I did want to make them able to like fold up inside themselves, but that didn't really go to plan because I couldn't make sure all the hoops were like the same oval shape, so I just didn't bother with it. And then in this clip I'm just cutting out more wefts of the card. I think one ring was about 2 wefts, but it did change depending on how, like, what the size I needed. And then I ended up with like this sort of shape. Don't mind the video in the background, I was just like watching something whilst I was making this. But then because I painted the front of the wig, I decided I also needed to paint the coils as well. But I couldn't really film this on camera because I was using my tripod again to hold up the wig. I should probably get a wig stand or something, but yeah, I went over it with a layer of grey paint and then the highlight again. I feel like this really helped it look a lot more realistic. And then this is the wig from behind. I feel like at this point I was pretty much done. I just had to add the accessories. I didn't want to glue them on because I don't know, what if I want to use them for something else, you know? But I think it turned out really good. But this is the final result. Surprisingly, the wig wasn't actually that heavy, and it was quite movable, which I was happy with because, I don't know, it looks more fun when it moves, you know? Anyways, but that's all.